All right, let me check my mic real quick. Yep, looks like we're good. So we're live. It is Thursday, August 14th. Sorry I'm late by a couple minutes. I had some trouble getting all my software started this morning. Had to restart the computer a couple times and before I was able to get everything running, but we're up and rolling now. Like I said, it's Thursday, so getting near the end of the week. I think we're going to pay a little bit more attention to, Max Payne today on some of these plays, as we've seen what happens as we roll into Thursdays and Fridays. Um, what do we got in here this morning? Sly Dev, what's up? Thirsty Thursday, I love it. 6-8 Spindrift, good morning. Shrimply McPibs, good morning. What else we got in here? Janati, what's up? LF Bell, check 1 2, check 1 2. Let's get it rolling. Sir Lucky Charms, good morning. Haven't seen you in a while. Pete, morning, what's up? And Joey said, what do you think of OPAD? I'm glad you bring it up. So OPAD popped up on the scanner today. So let's take a look at it. I played OPAD a while back. This was it got some news this morning. Where is my? We might have to go back here. Let's see here. So apparently, I didn't get everything set up. I don't have my news ticker up, and I do not have my options chain up. Where we at here? There we go. I usually have all this stuff detached so that I could get back into it. There we go. All right. So, OPAD. Looks like this morning, they got an analyst upgrade. JMP Securities coverage on OfferPad solutions with market outperform rating, price target of 45. Yeah, $45 price range. Oh, never mind. They just printed a correction right now at 507. It's funny, right as I was saying it. That's funny. All right, so at 3:21 a.m., $45 price target. Again, $45 price target at 4:30, and it looks like just now they're saying nope, sorry, $12 price target. $12 price target, and another one saying $12 price. It's all the same though. It's all JMP, but yeah, all that news came in, and it's coming back down. So I would imagine. I mean, because 12's still a lot higher than where we're at. I mean, it's almost, an 80% jump. But that's probably why we're starting to see this thing coming down now. You got a lot of excitement seeing a $45 price target. And, you're going to see a lot of hype in there, as that's almost, 6, 7 times, 6 times probably what it's trading at. And so you're getting all this buy pressure coming in. And now, people are seeing it's 12 and probably dumping off and taking profits right away, is what I would imagine is probably happening there, as that news changed pretty fast. It probably got released on some other platforms a little bit faster, but it just came through on mine like right now. But still, a $12 price target isn't bad. I'm looking at Ortex data right now on OPAD. Nothing really doing. Not a lot of short interest, not a high utilization, but the cost to borrow is pretty high. So we might see some movement there. Like I said, it did come up on my scanner Regardless, there's what are we looking at? 3.3 million in volume right now. On a stock with I think it's like a 27 million float. So this could be one to watch for like a day trade later. At some point. I mean, if all of a sudden this thing comes tumbling back down even to 9, you got a gap downwards, and then you still got the possibility of it trying to fill back up. But it did come up and almost hit that price target of 12. So, there's going to be probably a lot of volatility in here today, which is what you're looking for when you're looking to kind of stick and move and get in and out of some trades. So, yeah, OPAD's one that's definitely going to be on the watch list today. And we'll get to those in a second because I got like 4 tickers that came up on the scanner this morning. So, but that was definitely one of them that was right there at the top. Cuckoo Bird, what's up? Good morning. Me Tenderfoot says good morning all. What's up? Good morning. Dennis D says, why did OPAD surge? I'm sure you just heard me talk about it. I'm just behind a little bit. Let's see. Louis, what's going on? Josh Stewart. VN, good morning. Let's see. Mike Craft. Turts. Miners moving this morning. Hut, Gree, and Any. Yeah, I saw Gree because I had that on one of my watch lists moving last night too. So if we look at Hut, yeah, that one's starting to pop right now. And I know Turts has been talking about these for a while. That's a nice, just all these mining plays. So is a Ghost. Just, as Bitcoin starts to move, you're going to see these as well. And yeah, I mean, a low of 22, hitting 25 right now. Any's one we were talking about yesterday, and that's actually one that I had on my watch list for today as well. That I was going to cover in a little bit, but I don't know why, but Any's kind of my favorite out of all these. But Hut, if we look at the daily charts on both of these, if Hut can all of a sudden kind of pop out of this, it looks like a nice cup and handle formed on Hut here, and then all we'd want to see is this breakout above this 1139 level, and then I would expect it to shoot way above this 13. Just based purely off technicals, right? Nothing else. But the way it's looking right now, had a nice day yesterday, and it's already looking to open up above 1111, which is pretty damn close. This mark right here is like 1130. So I would say Hut for sure. Let's take a look at ANY. Then we'll try to condense these down. And ANY is kind of the same way. I was talking about this yesterday. Like, it keeps kind of following this same familiar move. It pops, it comes back, finds a new high, pops up again. And this one looks like, I mean, shit, who knows if it can get up here above this 1198, above this $12 range. Still a lot of room to run though. 823 is where it's trading right now, 825. So maybe we'll keep an eye on both these miners today. Any and Hut. Gree, I know, has the short interest in it too, which makes it intriguing as well. Right? If my memory serves correctly, Any is the float for some reason hasn't, or not Any, but Gree. The float for some reason hasn't really been updated since converting with SPRT. I would imagine that free percentage of free float on loan is higher. I could be wrong. Cost to borrow is still high, but these numbers seem a little bit off considering how heavily shorted SPRT was, and then how much Gree got shorted when it came into the market when they made that conversion over. So not sure what's going on there. I think just from an entry point standpoint, I like the Innie and HUD a little bit better. If we look at GRE, um, it looks like it's still maybe trying to fill this gap potentially. Um, and that's the one thing. A lot of these stocks, like somebody brought up OCGN, and I know I'm getting off topic now, but last night I was looking at OCGN because there was this Twitter Spaces that was talking about it, and I was listening to it while I was at my son's basketball practice, and while I was sitting there just looking at my phone, this is a stock that's like seems like it's always. And let me get rid of this. It's driving me crazy right now. There we go. No. All right, this is a stock that's pretty much always respected these gaps. Like if you look back, we have a gap up here. It came down and tried to fill it. Up here, came back and filled it right away. This little gap, it came up and filled it. Within a couple weeks. Gap down, came right back and filled it. It's pretty much always respected those gaps, and now OCGN just made a new gap right here. So some of these stocks, when you're looking at like getting into swing trades on them, I always kind of look at that, that they are going to kind of mine these gaps. But then at the other side, when you look at the technical analysis of this, it does look like it's kind of breaking somewhat out of a wedge. I mean, it's a little sloppy here. You got this chart's kind of all over the place. But anyways, let's go back to what we were talking about. So with these minor plays, just out of curiosity, because they are running, we are on a Thursday right now. I want to check the max pain on all these and see what's going on there. GRE's max pain right now is 1750. It's trading well above that, which kind of tells me that it's probably not going to be a factor. HUD is at 750 right now and trading at 11. So again, probably not going to be a factor as we move into, right into the end of the month for options or the end of the monthly expirations. Most stocks have a monthly expiration of 10/15, which is tomorrow. And ANY is at $7, and that's kind of a little bit close to it, where maybe in that manipulation zone. But really, the incentive to manipulate these stocks typically comes from a high IV. So again, if we take a look at that, looks like Innie's IV right now is why do I not see? Sorry guys, when I started this morning, yeah, it's not popping up. Usually I have that more info down there. Yeah, when I started this morning, I had to like reopen all my stuff, and let's see here. Implied volatility. There we go. Take that off. All right, so IV right now on Innie is at 231 for tomorrow. GRE 201 for tomorrow. HUT 140. So HUT's actually got the lowest IV too. So anyways, what I was saying is high IV gives that incentive to kind of pin it, but it looks like that might not be a case for any three of those. So all three of them might be some good plays as they're moving up this morning. Let's see here. Matt Johnston, what's up? Good morning. Andy Smith, Brian Sanders, Michael LaClova Nostra. Every time I see Michael's name now, I got to remember to drink some coffee. Gunslinger, good morning. Says OPAD seems like a pretty big mistake. Yeah, 45-12. I mean, that'll definitely. I mean, that's almost a 4 times difference. That'll get a stock moving and then heading back in the opposite direction really quick. But like I said, that's going to create some volatility this morning. OPAD's volume right now is at 4.3 million. And even with it kind of spike coming back down, it's still up like 16.69% this morning. So I think this still might be a good one to day trade today. I really do. Whether it breaks down or up. Noar, good morning. Wes Hansen. Kawinalai. I hope I said that right. Kawinalai. Kawinale. Good morning. Tuning in from Hawaii. I love it. I love Hawaii. I went there, I think 3 times last year. Oahu. Heading back in January. One of my favorite places to go. Being on the West Coast, it's not too far. Weather's always beautiful. I love it out there. Cuckoo Bird. I already said hi to Cuckoo Bird. Cuckoo Bird saying hi to Michael. Hobbs says, good morning, coach, and the fellow money makers. Okay, Gree got an air permit approved. Lots of chatter on reversal. That could make it pretty interesting because I really think that there's some hidden short interest in Gree that we're not seeing. And again, I could be completely wrong on this, but just looking at how heavily shorted SPRT was, and then when they flopped over to Gree, it's like, the stock continued to get battered down. And I think it's seeing some like really heavy manipulation there. And if all of a sudden, you see a lot of volume go pumping into that stock, that could potentially, force some shorts into a really precarious situation. If that's true, because I don't understand how you can all of a sudden, swap tickers, get hammered into the ground, and have 3% short interest. I don't think the float got diluted too much. Michael says Scotty Z needs to quit messing with the mouse. Miss that boy. Yeah. So Scotty's supposed to be coming on live from Disneyland tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Cyrax Lulu says, good morning from the moon. Pete, coach, Philly versus Brady. Got to root for my home team, even if the old man is the GOAT. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, and I mean, shit, I've been wrong too on so many occasions with these, with a lot of these NFL picks. I mean, NFL, they're all professional athletes, and that's what makes them so hard to pick. Thank you for the reminder too. Anyone who's still alive in the survivor pool, make sure you get your picks in. NFL week kicks off today. But I think the line on that right now is like Tampa Bay -7. And the Buccaneers have played in some relatively close games this year. I mean, they've also blown some teams out too. Like they just destroyed the Dolphins. But like they beat the Cowboys by 2 points earlier this year. That Rams game that they lost was pretty close. The Patriots game was shockingly close, but I think that might have had more to do with the whole Belichick storyline. So I could see this game going either way. I think the easy bet is probably, to just jump on the Buccaneers. Um, as you know, when Philly's played these good teams, they've been beaten pretty bad, but then they've also, they're no slouches either. I mean, they've been playing good too. But I would say, I'm not going to be betting this game tonight, but if I had to, I'd probably take Brady. Skip C, what's up? Patrick Zane, VIH redemption around 40%. Not sure where the short interest stands. So let's take a look at that. So VIH, I'm glad you brought that up too. So um, it's been, we talked about it yesterday morning, the morning before. Some crazy stuff happening with this stock, but it keeps popping right back up to 10. And the merger on that one is supposed to go through tomorrow. Let's see. Expected to be trading on Monday. So Monday the ticker's supposed to swap over, but the merger's supposed to go through tomorrow. I don't know. I'm still sitting on my VIH position, but kind of like I was saying yesterday, if we don't see a nice pop tomorrow, all those options are going to carry over, and it's still right now we're looking at what 38% short interest, um, utilization at 99, and the option chain even for next month still loaded. But yeah, when you get those redemptions in there too, let's see. If I look at VIH right now, with a total float of 20 million, if you ended up adding 40% to that float, you're probably going to end up pushing the float. Let's just even call it 30 million as if it was 50%. Um, right now there's 7 million shares on loan, roughly. So, that's going to be still about 30% of the free float on loan. So maybe it'll knock that percentage down a little bit. So it's still going to be relatively high short interest. It's still going to be relatively high utilization. I still think VIH is going to have its day. I'm a little disappointed that it didn't happen yet. And I'm kind of like, for the longest time, I've been saying, I was going to park some cash there because it was safe, because, a SPAC at NAV is worth, or pre-NAV is worth $10. Well, after Friday, it's not going to be worth $10. It could be worth more, but I guess what I'm getting at is it's not going to have that merger date looming over it. So they could really start shorting this thing down. But if we look at like November, it kind of has the same setup in there, in terms of, having this little gamma ramp that it's not going to have as much deep out this way, but it's still going to be sitting there. And that's what I liked about it in October. In October, you kind of had the same type of setup. So it's like the potential's still going to be sitting there for VIH. I just maybe at that point might, after Friday, maybe just buy some calls, and like maybe further out, and just let it, kind of like set it and forget it, but pull back my shares and make it more of a gamble. Whereas right now I've been kind of parking some of my cash that I've cleared out of other stuff into shares, and I don't know if I really want to like let it sit there. Now I'm saying that it'll probably pop as soon as I sell my shares, but but it's not as safe anymore, right? Pre merger, to me it was like sitting right above $10, safe bet, low downside. And if all of a sudden if this SPAC gets attacked the way these other ones have been, who knows what's going to happen. So, Danny did it. Good morning and happy trading. Turt says price target for Greece 68. That's like 3 times what it's at right now. Michael says needs me to get into mulligan status this weekend. Yeah, I'm still there's a few of us. I know Papa Clove is one of them too that are still riding with no mulligans. So we've been correct all 5 weeks so far. Turt says think they will pin Clove below max pain. Two things. One, I don't think there's a huge incentive to pin us below max pain because the IV so low. I mean, shit, even like those 3 mining companies we just talked about, IV on all of them was pretty high, especially considering like the IV on GRE, I think was it GRE? Yeah, 200% for options that are expiring tomorrow. I mean, if you look at Clove, it's below 100. It's at 88% for tomorrow. So you start looking at that, and it's like the incentive to pin it there isn't necessarily there anymore, and that being said, it's kind of like if that's the case, if there's no incentive, because they're not going to be making a lot of money, I feel like they'd probably spend their resources somewhere else. That's just my assumption. I think the whole pinning to max pain typically comes when you're looking at extremely high IV. So on the flip side of that, if we look at Clove and how it's been performing recently, I mean, we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 7 green days in a row. I mean, I know we have some days that it's not like we've been getting a ton of movement, but the stock's been moving upwards, and it's got some momentum right now. We're still trading below the 50 SMA, which I think would be kind of the next, but we're still also above 50 on the RSI. And I haven't really talked about this much because, and I don't want to get my hopes up too much or anything like that, but when you go back and compare, and I know people have been doing this for a long time and tend to do this a lot with like a lot of stocks like GameStop and AMC and everything else. This price action right here, all this looks very similar to what we saw leading up here. Who knows though, but I agree with you. If we get some volume, I think this thing could get a little bit of a pop, and start to move. I really do. But there's been some similarities lately in just this low volume and slow creep up, and starting to cross above some of these. Even though I don't even use these moving averages, these are my moving averages for a 1 minute chart. But just starting to creep above, and I really think if we as we cross above this 50 SMA, that could be what really starts to kick this thing off. But definitely excited about Clove. Could be into November. That doesn't look very exciting. I think volume right now on Clove this morning is at where are we? 71,000. So this is probably the lowest volume we've seen in a long time. We're still at 5:30 a.m., but that's pretty damn low. Kookaburd says after the Q3 earnings. That's what I'm kind of thinking too. I mean, if we didn't get the price target upgrade by now from any analysts after, getting the 3.5 star rating, it may be that takes, we have to wait until after Q3 and, maybe, but sometimes, usually with normal stocks, you get a nice little run up into earnings, and that could be the case too. So, I think What do we got here? So yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm getting text messages and stuff. I wanted to go back and check, but we could see a run up into earnings. The other thing too is, you know, if if we do wait until after earnings, and then we get that would be where I think we'd see an analyst price target, is if all of a sudden the guidance changes a little bit, or we see that MCR decreased, or we see that there was an increase in direct contracting, which they could sign up at any time. I don't think we're going to hear anything about the open enrollment period that starts tomorrow. It's just too close to earnings, and it'll still be ongoing. But there's a lot of little potential catalysts. And then, if you go back and look at like back in June when that happened, when the thing popped, there was no price target upgrade. There was nothing. I mean, earnings had just passed, I think like 2 or 3 weeks prior. And it wasn't like there was any like real news behind it or anything. It was just volume started pouring in and the stock started moving, from what I recall. Dan has no mulligans either. Right on. Michael says 6 people with no mulligan status, 17 still remain. Yeah, it's been fun. This survivor pool. Like I said, next when we get into March Madness, maybe we'll figure something out there. I'll try to like continue to figure out some fun little stuff, and then gives us something where we can compete, mix a little sports in. Zeke for Bleak, what's going on? Joseph Scott, good morning. Zeke says, check out Fubu. Fubo. I always say that. Fubo. All right, there we go. Shit, that one's moving this morning too. Let's see here. No real news behind anything right now. Looks like on the 11th, AT&T Sportsnet Rocky Mountain announced distribution agreement. Agreement to stream sports events and other programs, but that was a couple days ago. Looks like the stock already sort of reacting off that. It's definitely starting to swing upwards. Like, I mean, this is kind of what I'm talking about when you look at a stock and it's starting to gain momentum. And this is very similar to what CLOV looks like too. But it kind of came down, found some support here on what was previously resistance, and it's starting to swing back up. You got a crossover on the MACD. Everything's curling up. RSI is above 50 and starting to move up. And it just crossed above this 50 SMA, which is to me kind of like the early stages of your, of your reversal. Then next you'd want to see this 50 start to cross above your 100 and your 200. Which is kind of like what we saw like back here. When it starts crossing under, that's when you start to get into like bearish territory. But anyways, yeah, I mean, just from that standpoint, I don't know much about the stock in general. But I mean, shit, recent highs of 62. We've talked about this on like the No Financial Limit show. When if you feel fundamentally and you like a stock, and all of a sudden, you're looking at it, looks like it's starting to gain momentum and starting to reverse course, and it's giving you the technical indicators, and you like it fundamentally as well. These are the type of swing trades that I usually like to, jump into. So if I was gonna go November, I mean, you're kind of looking, that's 36 days away. For me, I usually would go at least 3 months, so I would be out here in January. But if we look at the November chain, why is everything? Let me see here. I feel like everything's screwed up this morning. All right, there we go. Typically, now you're talking about going 30 days out, so yeah, I could see like a $30 call. But for me, typically I'll try to get like in here. That's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck, and you can get a little bit cheaper too. So I would maybe go all the way out to the 35, but not for November. I mean, if you're going to play it short and go with like this November 19th, I think the $30 call might be nice, and you could stand up, make a pretty decent profit off that, especially if it starts moving. But what I like to do is at least go like maybe 3 months out, 3 to 6, just so that it gives you a little bit more time. Now, again, I'm not looking to hold that long, right? So if I go out to January 22 and look for something in that kind of same delta range, I can get like a $38 strike, pretty much for the same price. But I'm giving myself 3 months, and really all you're trying to do is profit off that the volatility, right? So if you were to come in here and grab this one, and all of a sudden the stock, let's say, has a nice like couple nice days similar to what we're seeing here, but goes on this type of run that it did last time, it kind of reversed course where it ran from 14 to what, 35, so $20. Or we could look at that as what, almost a 100% increase in there, right? 14 to 35. So if all of a sudden the stock reacted like that and even just gave you like a 20% gain over the course of, looks like this was a month, 20 to 30%, maybe all of a sudden now you're looking at the stock hits 35 and you still have half your contract to go, but that's going to put that thing, 5 or 6 more strikes in the money, to where all of a sudden now you're just three out of the money. You're going to be sitting like right here. And that's going to be like 100% gain, somewhere around there. It also gives you time to exit too. But the other thing that we're not considering, IV's low on this right now. So if all of a sudden when you get that kind of spike, you're going to see IV shoot through the roof, and then all of a sudden that contract isn't going to be just worth like $3. It might be worth like $6. So now you're looking at like almost a 400% gain, somewhere around there. My math might be wrong too. It's early in the morning, but somewhere in that ballpark, right? And so now, again, this is all hypothetically speaking, but we're not holding this into January. If that happens, and in November, or even December, maybe you throw a trailing stop on it and you get out, you could let it ride into January with the trailing stop on it in case it continues to run and maybe goes on a 100% run, maybe looks to, break all-time highs or something like that and goes on this type of run. Now you're really sitting fat. But I guess, I just like to give myself a little bit more time, right? And with the intention of not holding into January, getting that IV spike, having the stock really take off, and maybe cutting in November, a month from now, or cutting, 2 months from now. But look at the difference here in this, not just for this stock, but just in general. Right at the money, 375 with 99 days to go. With the month out, 238, still nice, right? But when you're buying options right now, and if you don't get the price action you're looking for, and now all of a sudden you're holding into 2 weeks out, it's only worth $1 right at the money. So even if you're right and you end up right at the money, it's not going to be worth as much, because it's going to get all that theta decay in there. And that's why, I'd really like to buy out here, anywhere in this 99 to 28, somewhere in this range. 3 months to 6 months, and then look to cut it by the time it gets to within 45 days. Because 45 days is kind of that mark where your options contracts really start, theta starts kicking their ass. But I like that play. I really do. I'm gonna look into it as a fundamentally and see what's going on with it, because those are really the type of options plays that I look for. Is same type of thing here. Like if all of a sudden CLOV's got higher IV than Fubo, but if all of a sudden it starts trading above this 50, you really start to think that the reversal's in. Now all of a sudden you put yourself 3 to 6 months out and go for like a 0.25 delta and be a part of that next rip up when the stock gains momentum. But anyways, no, I think that's a good play, Zeke, for sure. Big Nate, what's up? Clove has a way of making me feel like a Cubs fan. Wait till next earnings. Wait till next star rating. Oh, man. Yeah, so you're saying a nice run into the year's end. But see, so that's where I'm thinking. So even if potentially you're looking at like the run might go into January, then shit, maybe buy some March calls. You know what I mean? And that way, if you're right and the run goes into January, you're going to be up huge because you're still going to have so much time premium built into those as well. If you're wrong, you still have time to get out of that options contract with 5 months left without losing a ton. With still salvaging some of the contract. Faith, what's up? Good morning. Happy Thursday. Thoughts on OPAD? I went over that a little bit earlier, but basically what happened is I think it's going to be a good day trade candidate this morning. But it's funny because at the very beginning of the show, we were looking at it and it was ripping up, and I threw it in there because it popped up on my scanner this morning, and it was looking solid. We go look at the news feed, and it says it had a $45 price target, and I'm like, oh shit, this thing's really has some room to run. And then immediately as I'm reading off the news, it was a correction, and it's actually a $12 price target. So I think it was getting that momentum, and then the correction came out and kind of like halted all that momentum because it was so close to 12, and it kind of turned around, and now it's bottoming out. But again, volume wise, OPAD right now is sitting at 5 million. I believe the float's around 27 million. So gonna be a really high volume day here. Recent volume's been less than 1 million. I mean, that's ridiculous. Looks like recently 736,000, 1.79 million, 870,000, 590,000. So volume really fell off. And that's kind of where this stock, even back here, was trading with like relatively no volume. But today it's got 5 million in volume. So already in pre-market, it's not even 6 a.m. yet. So I think it's going to be a good day trade candidate today. I really do. You're going to have this gap to the downside that it might look to fill and then bounce off of, which will give us some room in here. Or it may just try to get back up here and reach these 11s. But either way, this thing's going to be pretty volatile today, I think. And that's what we want to look for. So that's my thoughts. I just, shit, a $12 price target still isn't bad from where it's at. Was trading at 8 yesterday. $12 price target's basically a 50% increase from where it was at. So I think, again, you're going to see this volume. You're going to see new buyers coming into the stock, but maybe even some profit taking. It's going to be Might be all over the place. David Johnson, what's up? Good morning. Let me do this. While we're sitting here talking, I'm just gonna put CLOV up because I keep looking to see where it's at and forgetting that I don't have it up on the screen. Let's see. Stars, what's up? Says missed too many mornings of work. Good morning. What's going on? Oh, the option contract I was talking about was for FUBO. That was one that just had a question about, and I was kind of, Zeke had a question. I was just talking about what I would take. Yeah, I don't know how they get 12 from 45, and I mean that's not even like those buttons aren't even close to you. You know what? Shit. If you're looking at the numbers on the not across the top of the keyboard, but over on the side, on the right side of my keyboard, because I was going to say, how do you even put that in as a typo? 4-5 or right above 1-2. Who knows? Maybe someone just typed it in real quick and hit enter, and then went back and said, "Oh shit, we messed that one up." Josh says, "Looks like PROG got a $4 price target." Man, PROG has been a great mover recently, and yes, this morning, H.C. Wainwright initiates coverage on Progenity with the buy rating price target of $4. PROG is one that popped up on my scanner this morning. It's one that it's on the top of the Fintel short list this morning. Number one. It's been a great trade almost every day this week, and even a little bit into last week. The volume's been insane. I love hearing that because that means we can probably get back in some PROG today. So it looks like it came down and hit 195. Shortly after that, got the $4 price target, which is actually double from where it's trading at right now. Yesterday, PROG was one that I said I was going to watch for some trading opportunities. There wasn't really much, 233, 248. A couple breakouts here and there. I know this was the one I was watching all day, and I never really got an entry point anywhere. I didn't play this at all, but and I didn't really trade much yesterday for that reason. I saw a couple times, like I saw this big candle here, and kind of on the group chat I'm on, I'm like, oh, looks like PROG's ready, and then nothing. I don't know. It just but with this price increase, analyst increase, and it looks like it's just, volume was down a little bit yesterday at 161 million. But that's not necessarily down, right? I mean, when you look at where PROG's been and their float size and everything else, I mean, it's already at 5 million this morning. Now I'm just clicking around and nothing's working for me, but the float size on this is 128. I think max pain last time we checked was like $1, maybe $1.50. It's been trading more than the float for quite some time now. 161, 346, 204. Head back here, 239, 249, 107. I mean, and this volume's probably gonna keep up too, because again, if we just got this upgraded price target, let's check out max pain on PROG. Yeah, it's 150 right now, and I haven't looked at the options chain on that one yet this morning, but again, considering the float size, and we talked about this yesterday, more than a 10,000 differential there, already in the money. If it pops back above 250, you've got a 30,000 differential and a 19,000 differential. and then it starts to fall off. I don't know if that's enough to get it to 5 in here, just because there's some gaps we didn't really see. They added these on yesterday, and we didn't really get a lot of buyers in there. But that's also because the IV's at 314%. But there's enough open interest in the chain right now that I could see this thing pushing to 5 just off the options chain. And then you look at, again, it's the biggest short squeeze candidate right now in terms of numbers. %48 short interest, more than half the free floats on loan. Cost to borrow is up. It looks like the average is at 94%. And look, Ortex is actually working with us this morning and giving us updates live. So looks like short interest is up to 52%. Utilization at 99. So yeah, I would say PROG looks like it's ready to pop. You know, I didn't I have no position right now. I closed them all out a couple of days ago, and I had the intention of day trading this yesterday, but it was like nothing but downhill. More of a pullback after this big run up. But I'm gonna go ahead and just right now say that's probably my number one candidate today that I'm gonna be watching, especially based off that $4 price target. So damn, I lost hell of the chat. I don't know what happened here. Sorry guys, it looks like I let it get away here. What do you think about Ader? Yeah. So sorry Wesley, I missed that one. So yeah, I put that other video out on Saturday, and I mean, really, it's kind of been playing out the same way. I'm not saying that there's not going to be a squeeze on ATER at all, but kind of what I was looking at after that, and I even mentioned it in that first video, was Max Payne. Max Payne was at $10, and at the time we were trading like right around here. And it was like, okay, if we cross Max Payne, there's all this potential for a gamma squeeze, and it has a high short interest. It has all the variables you want in a short squeeze too. However, IV was pretty high at the time, and gives it a really high incentive to be manipulated and be pinned down. And that's exactly what we saw. And you could see they're just pinning it now right here. And so my expectation for the week, at least, is that they're going to keep this stock right where it's at. I mean, you could see it run potentially to, upwards close to 10, and maybe downwards to 750, but they're going to try to pin this thing right here, right around this 750 strike, and make all these puts lose money and make all these calls lose money. But that is a loaded up option chain. And IV is still at 265%. So the incentive is there to pin this. And that's kind of what I was talking about with CLOV too. Like right now, there's not really a huge incentive to pin CLOV anywhere. I mean, the IV for this week's option chain on CLOV is like 80%. So, I don't really think that they're going to even give two shits if we close above $8 or not on CLOV. But with ATER, because it's already in that range now, and they have it locked in there, I think it's going to be harder to break out of it, especially one day to options expiration, because if they let this thing go, considering the float size, and I know there's been some discrepancies in regards to the float. Some people say 15 million. Some say upwards of 50 or 45 million. My Schwab thing says somewhere around 30, I believe. But either way, this is a tremendous amount of open interest considering the float size. And if they let this get away, it's going to get away, and it's going to probably head to 35. But probably highly unlikely right now with 1 day left. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. ATER is still going to be kind of on my radar, as we move into next week. And it could go to a couple different ways, obviously, right? But Ortex data isn't the end all be all. We've seen that with way too many stocks where, it's like, oh my God, well, it's got this high short interest, it's got the high utilization, the cost of borrows through the roof. This thing's gonna pop, and then it trades sideways for 3 months, and why they just milk up all the open interest out of these chains, until they get them back down. Shit, that's what we're looking at with CLOV right now. But then occasionally you find some that pop and they can get above. Like OPAD right now is above. It's trading above max pain by a couple strikes. I think SDC ended up getting pinned down earlier in the week. SDC had a lower IV. It was trading above max pain, and now they've even worked that one. They've whittled that one down to $6, or 582, which is right below their max pain at 6. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at these stocks. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see that gamma squeeze tomorrow for sure. Good calls or puts for GME. Man, so GameStop has been pretty interesting. Looks like it's moving up a little bit this morning. If we look at the daily chart on GameStop, it's starting to rise again. The last couple times, every time it crosses above this 50 SMA, it starts to move. Literally every time it crosses above the 50 SMA, it starts to move. And this is back in May. This right here in August, it wasn't a huge move, but from 185 to 231, that's still a $50 move. And we're just crossing back above there right now. I think it's ready for some sort of pop. And, this is probably the first time that I've noticed the IV on GME being so damn low. The problem is options are going to cost a little bit more because the stock price is a little bit more. But, we're looking at, with GameStop, this week 108%. But as you start to come out here, this is more, this is almost normal IV. This doesn't look like like a meme stocks implied volatility right now. So, you could probably find some good ones in here. The stock's heavily manipulated. Anytime you buy a call on GameStop, I think you're unless you're like going in the money, even that's risky. Who knows what's going to happen? But I would say on the risky lotto ticket side, maybe next week's expiration, and again, high risk. But if you look at the way that this thing tends to pop sometimes, at least getting to 230 or something if it follows suit, and because it's breaking that 50, potentially, extremely short-term options, somewhere in that, like maybe that 200 range. My rule of thumb is always to go with the 0.25 delta, but then you're looking at $335 for something that expires in 8 days. I'd probably rather go with, somewhere around here. But again, I'm just like the 235, $140. All of this is high risk though, because it could be nothing that happens. But really kind of a safer bet would be to give yourself a shit ton of time, right? Like maybe come all the way out here to February, give yourself maybe 3 months at least. And for some reason that doesn't want to load up for us. Even January. But again, it's just too damn expensive, so if you tried to play, that rule of thumb, like where I'm saying, like go for the 0.25, you're paying $1,100 and you're at the 300 strike. Again though, you're not necessarily when you're buying these options, you're not looking for it to hit the strike price. You're looking to play the IV. If all of a sudden GameStop gets a pop, let's just say, I'll even pull up the options profit calculator so we can take a look at this. So we're going to go, and again, I'm not saying that's a lot to risk on such a volatile stock, but let's say you bought this $300 strike. I'm just going to pull it up real quick. Go with the long call. What was that, January? The January 300. Okay. And let's calculate this. And then I'm going to change the IV, because if we're saying that it's going to have a nice little pop, typically when that happens, we see GameStop's IV go up by about up in the 300% range. So we're going to throw a 200% IV change on these. There we go. So if all of a sudden we see a pop in GameStop and the IV jumps to 300%, I don't even care about the here, I'm just going to put it at the spread value. So remember, we paid $1,100 for that. So even if tomorrow the IV jumps back up to 300%, you're looking at that $11 contract. What we buy that for? We bought it for $11, jumping up to $83. So 635% gain, and the stock doesn't even have to move. That's just based off IV. That's where you could profit off this low IV right now. Now let's say the stock jumps up too, and that's why it's moving. Let's say, the stock even just goes up to back to 225, 800% gains right there. And even if it happens within the next 1, 2, let's say by December 1st, 600% gains. So your $1,000 you put in right now is turning into $8,000. But that's all off the IV spike, but that's what happens with these meme stocks when they take off. You get in with low IV right now at 80%, and all of a sudden they pop up to 300%, and most of the money you're making here is all off the implied volatility because of the Vega. Now, if all of a sudden GameStop goes up and hits its, shit even close, like, maybe taps 280 or something like that, you're looking at 1,000% gains. But again, we're talking about a $300 call, and I'm not looking to wait for this stock to hit 300. I'm just looking for that IV spike, looking to profit off the volatility, and cut that contract as soon as it gets up there. As soon as you get above like a 200-300% gain, throw a trailing stop on that thing and let it ride. And now if it keeps going up and it hits all-time highs or something, sure, you might make a shit ton of money. I want to say on that last back in January, just to show you guys how crazy this shit is, I think IV was somewhere around 800%. I could be wrong. It's been so far away now. But just to give you an idea, what would it hit up to? Like 480 with 800% IV. So, again, $1,000 contract for the $300 call paid out, would have paid out something like 46 grand. It's insane. Anyways, so Ross, to get back to your question, I know I kind of took that a little too far, but anyways, I don't know. I mean, it depends. If you're playing as a gamble and a straight up bet, I mean, because this is so expensive right now, because the stock is so high, I would maybe, look to come out here and just get like, depends what you want to risk, but you could run those same numbers here and get the 270 strike for $100. And if all of a sudden in the next week we see a spike to 225, you just got to be looking to cut this thing. You would need that spike to happen by like next Tuesday. The further out you go, the more expensive you're going to pay. But I think anything, if you're in it and you have at least a week left and you get that IV spike of like, where it gets back up to 300, you should be able to profit. It's just when you get into like, a Thursday and a Friday of options expiration, now you're in desperation mode where you need the stock to, to hit. You needed to hit your actual strike price. So for me, I would say if you want to play it, you got to go further out. You got to buy. You got to pay for the time. The further out you go, the more you always have an opportunity to back out too. You could change your mind, and with IV as low as it is, you could still get out at like maybe a 10% loss a couple weeks from now if you wanted to. If you're buying a contract that's for like January, dated in January or somewhere like that. Alina says GME's climbing. Yeah, it's starting to move up. I think it's ready for another big move. And again, anyone else who's sitting in GME, you guys probably know I've been in GameStop, sold here, bought down here, and I've kind of been holding and then just day trading, not day trading, but trading options here and there in between. But I'm still sitting on some shares from back here. In hindsight, I wish I would have sold here, rebought and sold here. But I really thought we were looking to make this move past 483. So anyways, the way I'm playing this now is if it gets back here, and I mean, we've seen this resistance twice now. If it hits 350 and starts falling back down, I'm out, and I'm looking to exit before it gets to 300. So I'm going to have a stop loss set, and I'm going to be out by 300 if it hits 350 and comes back down, because we've seen it happen twice now. But what I'm really looking for it to do is blow past this resistance. If it can break this resistance, I think we could really see some insane movement. So who knows? All right. Looks like CLOV is still trading above 8. Wesley says DraftKings flirting with 50, still entering around 50. I know you're watching IV closely. Yeah, well, what I was watching with DraftKings more was the SPY, right? I love DraftKings. I think it's a great play. I'm going to get back in. But what are we looking at here? Oh, there we go. What I've been watching more closely is the SPY and like just the way the market's moving right now. So I'm just going to take those off right now. So if we look at this, to me, nothing says that this isn't in a correction. Nothing says that the market is bouncing back right now. Now, as I'm saying this, it's gapping up and it's looking to open up right here at 440. If all of a sudden, I really want to see it close above here. I'd like to see the market get a nice close, somewhere in this 441 to 445 range to show me that this crap right here is over, because I don't want to enter into a DraftKings and then all of a sudden, we end up coming down and hitting 410 or filling this gap at 400. And, I think DraftKings has a lot of room to give, right? I had drawn kind of like, these are old. I'm going to take these off actually. This was from a long time ago. Damn it. All right. So DraftKings definitely look, I mean, it's kind of been trading in here, but if all of a sudden it's been really correlated with the SPY, this drawdown right here happened when the S&P started drawing down, right? And so if the market keeps selling off, I could see it coming all the way down, back down to here, you know, and potentially down to here. So it's still got room to give to the downside. I don't think it's going to. I'm very bullish on DraftKings right now, but it's not a stock that's trading near like the bottom, and it's been heavily correlated with the overall markets. So for me, I'd like, even if it means missing out on like a $2 or $3 gain, I'd rather miss out on that than get back in for a long-term swing and see this thing go south overnight if all of a sudden the market has a big sell-off and a correction. And I might be playing too cautiously with this, but that's just the way that right now I really don't like. I mean, I've been sitting cash on most of my like long-term swings for a while since all this started happening. And you could see that there's just like, a gap down. It came and filled it. It just came and filled that gap up. And it's got, who knows? It's set to gap up today up to here right now. If everything goes as planned, it's going to open up here at 440. And that's just going to create another gap that needs to get filled to the downside. And every time the market does this, you go look at DraftKings, it gets pulled down with it with a lot of other stocks too. That's not the only one. But I love DraftKings. I really, long term, I think it's looking at earnings are going to be coming up here shortly in about a month. And I mean, shit, if you look at last time, it was at its all-time low right before those November earnings. But look at all this growth. I mean, it almost doubled. Because of football. That's really, it's because of football season. That's their big money maker. And my original play was to kind of play this into February, and that's still my plan. And I really think whether it be that it comes back down to here and starts playing out, or that it's trading at 55 and starts playing out, I think we're going to see DraftKings probably touch 80 to 100 right around this February earnings call. So I'm just trying to play it a little cautiously right now is all. Hey, Graham says February's coming faster than you think. I know. I'm not going to. DraftKings is gapping up this morning too. But so, again, it's been so heavily correlated with the SPY. If you look at the SPY right now, the SPY is gapping up as well. Is there news on DraftKings right now? No, that's old. That's from yesterday. Land's deal with NHL. And that's the thing with DraftKings too. What I love about it is it's like they have these little mini catalysts like every day. Where it's like they have this news because the partnership with the NHL, and then tomorrow they'll announce a partnership with the New Jersey Devils, and then a couple weeks from now a partnership with the Sharks, and it's all these little press releases that get people reading about the stock and that sort of thing. So Alina says just buying the stock. I think you're talking about GME, I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. All right, I think I caught up with the chat. So real quick, we didn't really get to go over. I know it's almost market open right now. We didn't get to go over yesterday's kind of watch list and everything, which is shit. It's perfectly fine with me. As long as we're keeping busy. I feel like today's pre-market flew by pretty quick. But today, for those of you that have been day trading, like I said, yesterday I was kind of busy. I was only watching PROG. I didn't get to look at too many other ones. But, the list from yesterday did fairly well. I know there was some other ones that popped up later in the day that ended up doing pretty good as well. But for today's list, the stocks that I'm looking at right now, PROG's going to be probably one of the bigger ones. As it came down and touched 195, looking to open a little bit flat, 204 to 212, not much. But we're already seeing, where did that go? 6 million in volume on PROG this morning. We zoom out a little bit. We've seen how it's been moving. It's got a ton of short interest and all the short squeeze variables. It's got a loaded option chain. It's trading above max pain. Options expiration is tomorrow. This, I think, is going to be a big mover and something that I'll be looking to kind of pop in and out of and make a little money. So PROG is number one, I think, on my watch list. The other ones that came up on the scanner this morning, and I didn't really get to investigate too many of them, but where'd it go? NRXP was another one that came up. Popped up this morning from 940 to 1375, starting to fill the gap back down. It's only at 18 million float, and it's looking at about 5 million in volume right now. So keeping that in mind, we're going to, again, this thing's probably going to head down at some point. It'll have room for a reversal to the upside or to the downside, obviously. I mean, it can go either way, but I guess what I'm talking about here is the volatility, right? We're looking for a huge range. Anytime we're looking to day trade, we're looking for that wide range where, potentially you get into a stock, it comes down low, and then you see this crossover, you start to see bullish signals, and now instead of like where yesterday with this stock, maybe you had the opportunity to go from 923 to 992, which isn't actually bad. That's almost 7% or something. But either way, maybe this time it goes on this bigger run, right? You get this entry point later on today, and all of a sudden it rips up like 10-20% because of this huge gap and this huge range we're going to see. So NRXP is another one I'll be looking at. PROG, and then the other one is, zoom in on that one. OPAD looked pretty decent. Again, try to kind of trading flat right now, but kind of the same thing. It's gapped up. It's going to have some room in both directions to move. And the other one that really popped up this morning, where did it go? There's so many popping up on the scanner, and I like to, usually narrow it down to like one or two. Let me see here. No. There was one that I circled earlier that I really liked, and now I can't find it. We had talked about some of the mining plays starting to move a little bit. But really with these, and, so ANY, but a lot of these other ones too, and I've said this every day. I've been keeping on my watch list almost daily BBIG, SDC, ATER, even CEI, PROG, obviously, GRE, kind of these same familiar faces that we've been seeing every day, because all of a sudden these things just start popping out of nowhere, and give us some opportunities. And, intraday they hit a little bit of volume. But for today, I'll probably be going PROG, NRXP, and maybe OPAD. Those might be the three that I end up looking at that I'll be watching. When I'm not at home, I don't really get the benefit of sitting here with 12 tickers up at the same time. And sometimes, especially if you're just starting out, that's not even a good strategy, because you just get lost and you start jumping in too many trades. The best way to do it is just to watch one or two and look for an opportunity. I mean, shit, if you were watching ANY yesterday, A lot of movement there. A lot of opportunities again to stick and move, get in and out of some of these plays. And I really think that's the best way to play a lot of these squeeze plays right now. Is just kind of profit off the intraday volatility. Sure, you're gonna miss out on some of the the gap up and gap downs at night, but well, you want to miss out on the gap downs, but that way you're not holding overnight when all of a sudden something goes south on you, or when you get a rug pull, or the stock starts getting manipulated downwards. Look for your trading signals. Look for when's a good entry point. Make some money off the volatility, but then hold your cash overnight. That's probably the safest way to go. Big Nate says DraftKings and NHL and Turner Sports sign an agreement. Okay. Yeah, that's what we and then all right on. I'll check that out on Twitter too. Joseph Scott, I don't know if you're still in here, but hope you have a great day. Thank you for coming in here. Thomas said randomly bought some any options early yesterday. Shit, good for you. I do that sometimes too. Again though, if you're gonna play options, you want to damn that, depending on where you bought it. When you're just kind of playing calls, to me, I look at that as betting, and sometimes they pay off and sometimes they don't. And sometimes I like to have fun. I forget what day it was, but I'm on a text message thread, and I said something about, man, I just bought some calls on BBIG, and I think it was Al Trades. He's like, why? I just hear him saying it in his voice, and I'm like, I don't know, because we're in a casino and I want to try to make some money. But sometimes it's fun, man. If you kind of have a feeling that something might be running over the next couple of days and might grab some momentum, and the IV's not extremely ridiculous, I do that sometimes too. And then cash out, get a nice 30% gain or something, and roll it into the next one, or like what I've talked about on here before, I like to just go with the trailing stop sometimes, and that way I just kind of set it and forget it. I don't even gotta watch it anymore. Thomas says it's going to be the year 2035 when CLOV stops this BS. Yeah, I think we're getting close. November earnings, but then at the same time too, I've really started to look at CLOV as more of an investment now. And just kind of like a long-term hold. I really have conviction in the company and all that. Earlier today I was talking about the similarities on the chart between now and the June run-up. And what's funny is if you go back and watch the video that I made prior to the June run-up, I kind of said the same thing. I don't really see the gamma squeeze. I don't see a short squeeze right now, but I'm going to start loading up my long-term position as an investment. And then shit, the thing took off a couple days later. So who knows? I just had some deja vu right now, but I really do believe in this stock, long term. What is this? All right. Sorry, my text message is going off again. Damn, Annie's on its way back down too. Closed at 813, down to 808. Turts is heading to Vegas, man. Lucky you. I'm ready for another vacation, and I'd love to hit Vegas or at least Reno. But have fun out there, man. I'd love to get out there again at some point. The Raiders playing in Vegas this weekend. That's the one thing I'd love to go out to. I'd love to just go to Vegas for a weekend and then be able to go check out that new stadium too. A friend of mine just went to this Raiders Bears game last week, and they said that stadium's amazing. I was supposed to go out there with my kids and go watch SummerSlam, and we ended up not doing it. I ended up giving those tickets away, but no, Raiders are on the road. They're playing the Broncos in Denver. That should be a good game too. I don't know. Kind of crazy to see what happens with the Raiders now with the head coach change and everything. And one thing I should say about that too. I know this shows more about stocks, but at first when I didn't really see and hear what John Gruden said and was just looking from the outside looking in, I was kind of like, they're blowing this out of proportion or whatever. But then you look, and I guess they got a ton of emails on stuff that he said, and emails that he's been sent to him and back and forth. And man, it seems like a much bigger problem. I think you're going to see this thing unraveling for months, if not a couple years. As they, I guess they got access to like all these emails from all these coaches and owners and everything else, and it's going to be kind of crazy. All right, where we at here? Chef Daddy, late start. Hope you have a great day. You too. Good luck in the markets, everybody. Really, let's make some money. I know Chef Daddy's gonna start trading again. He took a little break, I think for a week or so. But I'm glad to see you back in here every day. Thomas said 8-cent spread. I know I'm late on that. The market opened. I didn't hear the bell. I don't know if my volume's off or what. It's crazy. Market opened. Did you guys hear the bell on that end? Usually my software plays my Thinkorswim software plays a bell every morning. So just looking around, let me pull this up real quick since we got the market open. Kind of look at some of these other I'll throw any up there. All right. So taking a look, we got BBIG dumping right now. Again, the first couple minutes though is anything could happen. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Like even with CLOV seeing the spike right now, we're establishing an opening range, right? So you're always going to see big candles one direction or the other. Once they kind of play out and establish themselves, that's when you can really look to maybe, jump in a trade one way or the other. But looks like PROG is heading down. That's one from yesterday. BBIG. SDC is trading pretty flat. GRE dropping, down 3% right now. Like I said, the SPY gapped up $4. The one thing that scares me about that is if all of a sudden it starts gap filling intraday and just starts heading downwards, and now all of a sudden we see the SPY start heading down and dragging everything else down with it, even though it'll be up on the day, positive on the day. Seen that happen too many times. And it looks like GME is, you know what? There we go. We're going to look at some GameStop today. I like when GameStop goes up. Let's see. Payne got CLOV today. I saw that. Charles Payne is going to be talking about CLOV this morning. I think he's bringing a guest on. Or was that yesterday? I saw the tweets yesterday, but I didn't know if it was He was talking about his show today or tomorrow, but I'll be looking out for it. Saw a lot of haters out there too on his Twitter account. It's been a while since I've talked about this on here, but that AMC community is crazy. I mean, shit, I was in AMC back in January and got out, and I've continued to kind of jump in and out and trade it since then. But they hate hearing about anything but but AMC and GameStop. Um, let's see here. Looks like Ghost just texted me that FUBO is running right now. Shit, hopefully you got those Zeke if you bought those calls right at the open. That's a nice little spike. Let's see here. So CLOV's heading up. Looks like VIH is still kind of hanging around $10. Nothing doing. That one's being frustrating for me. PROG is up, even though it looks down on the chart. It's up 2% because it's gapping up a little bit. Still early. Yeah, I just saw that, Dan. I just kind of glanced, and it looks like it's sitting there right around 10:05. I really don't know how to play that one. I mean, it's got the setup and everything, but I've also seen too many times what happens with these SPACs, like once they merge. And don't get me wrong, some of them end up taking off. We sometimes see some pops in them. It's got the short interest. It's got the options open interest. It's got everything going for it. And then it's you know, I don't know though. I might end up calling back my shares and taking my shares out if we don't see a big pop before the end of the day tomorrow, and then just grabbing a couple calls and maybe just throwing in some calls over the weekend. For the November change, just to see if maybe that way I don't miss out after I pull out my position. But that might be the way I end up playing VIH if we don't see something by tomorrow. Let's see here. Yeah, FUBO is getting some movement this morning. Dennis D says HLBZ is moving. I'm going to take PROG off right now and look at that one. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a 30% right? That was a 30% pop this morning, and now it's trading back downwards. It's crazy. That one didn't pop up on my scanner at all. If I look at yeah. FUBO's on the scanner right now. Just popped up. Looks like too many stocks to look at. GME starting to move. This other one that just popped up is GRVI. Yeah, I don't want to. I'm gonna keep it with what I'm gonna keep it with what I said from the beginning. NXRP, OPAD, PROG, and then I'm gonna end up adding in FUBO. Just because that one looks nice, and if it ends up popping down off this, there might be some nice volatility to jump into in that one. But I don't know where the volume's at on that. Let me check that out. 1.3 million. Starting to see some green too up across some of these other ones I'm in. Nice. All right. And CLOV is popping. So, we've seen this happen with CLOV too many times too. Like it either tanks down in the morning and starts to pop back, or it goes up in the morning and it starts to come down. I'm just waiting for that day where it goes up and it doesn't come back down. I know it's got it in it, and I just got to bring it out. What did I have up here? NXRP. Oh, did I spell that wrong? Is it NRXP? Really intrigued to see what happens with GameStop too. After seeing this many green days in a row, I think it might be ready to pop. Very disturbed. Good morning. Dan says I'm just gonna hold it. I might not big into it. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So like around the time we're talking VIH too. So around the time when I started really looking at it and everything else with it, and then I had pulled out when I pulled out a lot of my other cash, I parked it into VIH because it's like, okay, well, this is trading right at NAV, right, and it's pre-SPAC, so it's worth $10. So really, it can only go up. I know that's still risky, but to me, it's low risk, high reward. But after Friday, that's not the case, and that's money that I want to end up sliding back into DraftKings, putting into some other stuff, and so I'm gonna end up probably pulling all that back out, and then I'll just grab some call options and kind of take that attitude with it. If nothing happens and I lose that, it was a bet, and instead of if nothing happens and I'm wrong and it goes the opposite direction, I just lost a big chunk of what I wanted to throw into some other stocks. So just need to take another approach, but I'm still going to be playing it. Damn. Zeke, if you're still watching, I hope you grab these calls right when the market opens. Shit, you you get a nice little pop right there. Let's see. Day late, dollar short. Good morning. Says we're all waiting for that day. Hell yeah. It's. I'm telling you. Last time it really did, and maybe my memory's not as good as it once was. I don't know. To me, I don't remember there being anything different about June that was like significant, other than it was kind of disappointing. May was kind of disappointing. May was like high expectations, no delivery with the stock, and like I said, I kind of just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go long term hold investment on this, and that's when I started in May, started opening up like long term position in the stock, and throughout the month of May, where I had been trying to play some squeezes in it and everything else, and then it just popped out of the blue. I'm talking CLOV right now. So this really does feel like eerily familiar to that same kind of sentiment, to where there's been a lot of disappointment over the last couple months. But really, when I bought back in after the June squeeze and kind of bought back in, sure, I thought that we might have a nice short-term pop, but at the same time, I still have the same conviction that I had in this stock when I bought in May, you know. So I still think this is a stock that's going to be trading in triple digits at some point. And I mean trading in triple digits, not just pop up to triple digits and come fall back down. I think one day you're going to be holding CLOV stock and it's trading for $150. And maybe we're talking about an analyst upgrade to 175 or 180, and something like that, like on its own merits, not because of any, BS squeeze plays or gamma squeeze or anything. Like, this is a stock that will be worth that much. That's my conviction in it. And that's why I've always said, like, even if today ends up being the start of another big run and we jump up to $40, $50, I'll probably sell again, but I'll jump right back in when it falls back down. Yeah, we're definitely moving right now. Let's check out level 2. $8.30. I would imagine maybe, yeah, here we go, right around the 850. Usually you see the biggest sell walls right around the strike prices, kind of slow down momentum a little bit. Looks like DraftKings got some announcement this morning. Horizon Acquisition Corp announces PIPE investment by DraftKings. The hell is that? That just came out. What's DraftKings doing right now? Horizon Acquisition Corporation announced today that the Eldridge Industries LLC, affiliate of Horizon sponsor, entered into an agreement with DraftKings to make a private placement PIPE investment in connection with the closing of the previously announced merger between Horizon and Vivid Seats. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, that just came out right now though. 6:35. Yeah, Chef Daddy, that's really what it's all about, and it's one of those things. It's funny because people always, quote Warren Buffett about the market kind of like favors the patient. I can't think of the actual quote right now. I'm sure somebody else can type it in exactly what it was, but it basically rewards the patient people being rewarded, and I think that's really what it is. I mean, even when you look at you take all this other mess out of it, and it's like I said, normally when I play an options play, I'm looking to go 3 to 6 months out. And usually when you're, and that's for like a swing trade. When you're setting up for a swing trade, sure, it might pay off sooner, but a lot of times when you get into a swing, just like I was talking about earlier with Zeke about FUBO, I'd be looking at March. The DraftKings swing that I entered into, I went for February. Usually that's the way you got to kind of look at and approach plays that you get into. And I think that's really the key, is patience. I think CLOV is a stock that's truly going to pay off big time down the road for those that are patient. Yeah, there we go. Transitional money from the impatient to the patient. Standard sell walls on CLOV. Yeah, we talked about it earlier though too. I think where CLOV is at right now, on the IV side, which is shit. It looks like it actually. No, pull this back up. Yeah, IV is insanely high, today. So with IV being where it's at, 90% expiring tomorrow, I don't know that there's much incentive to, try to pin it at 8. Don't get me wrong. Why wouldn't they want to? But I guess if I was a market maker and I was gonna, spend my resources trying to pin something. I would rather be focusing on, I don't know, ATER with the 270% IV and the opportunity to really kick my ass if if it crosses 10. Or, you just start looking at some of these other plays, SDC, I mean, that's insane right there. 117% IV, actually not that bad. That actually went down quite a lot. But yeah, I guess my point is I would rather, waste my resources trying to capture these type of game, 240% on BBIG. And you can see they're starting to move this thing downwards. It's down 29 cents today, and they're trying to get it back to that $6 mark. So I just think that, like, in the grand scheme of things, when the incentive isn't there to manipulate it from a market maker's perspective, when the IV is so low. All right, shit, we're 650. Sorry, we're at 650. Normally I'm off at 645. So I gotta go catch up with my kids before they take off for school. So thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate it. Be sure to check me out tomorrow on Friday. Scotty Z's supposed to be coming at us live from Disney World, taking his Friday shot, and then on top of that, so the stocks that I'm kind of going to be watching today is talked about it already, is FUBO, OPAD, NRXP. PROG is going to be on my long-term watch list now just because it's been such a big money maker. And I think that's it. Those are the four. And it looks like, let me check one more real quick. Yeah, I'm not messing with that today. All right. Yeah. So you guys have a great day. See you tomorrow morning, hopefully. If not, have a great weekend.